next. Okay, so very important is, so basic input output operation. Basic input output operation. This is with respect to IO devices. I am talking about the IO devices. How exactly input and output operation takes place. So why we are started discussion of this input output operation now? Because I have already explained, most of the time there is a speed difference between the IO devices. So we cannot expect the same speed from all the devices. Example, keyboard. So what is the speed of the keyboard? It purely depends on the typing speed of the user. Okay. So I may enter key A. I may take some rest. Okay. Later I'll enter the next character. So now what is the speed of keyboard? It purely depends on the typing speed of the user. Similarly, even output device. Okay, the processor, memory, each of these devices it is having their own speed. So now we need some mechanism to synchronize all the devices speed. Okay, so what is the technique we can use? So in brief, I'm going to explain. So how to synchronize the speed difference between the IO devices. The difference in speed between processor and IO devices creates need for mechanism to synchronize. Synchronize means I want to make all the devices to work in the same speed. Okay, so that is not possible. I cannot make um, work the processor speed and input device speed same. It is not possible, but we have some technique. So we can make it at least to synchronize the speed between processor and the input device. Okay, so what are those techniques we'll discuss. So why we need, first of all, why we are worrying about this speed difference? Okay, so you just remember there is a processor. Okay, there is a input device. What happens here is, so as long as if I want to store something data, or if it requires to process some data whatever I have entered from the keyboard. Okay, so here what happens, the input device means I am just giving or entering the data at very low speed. So in that case what happens, the processor is keep on waiting for my instruction. Okay, without performing any active operations. Okay, it is just waiting. I'm just entering or creating some document A, okay, B, something like that, very slowly. So in that case, if there is no synchronization, so the processor will be just keep on waiting for my input, even though it works at very fast, but due to there is a slow speed of input device, so it is not performing the task at faster rate. So now how you can cope up with this speed differences? We have a technique called, the solution to this problem is, on output the processor sends first character. Okay, so here we are considering one example, that is reading character from the keyboard and displaying onto the output device. Okay, so that is a problem we are going to consider. So in between this it requires the help of processor. Okay, so how exactly it is done? So the processor sends the first character, then wait for the signal from the display that character has been received or not. Then it sends the second character. So this is one example. So consider the processor want to send some data to the output device, okay, that is monitor or display. And if this device is busy, okay, if this device is busy, processor, it is not possible to keep on check is the device is free or not. Okay, what it is going to do is it is going to perform its own some other task. As soon as this particular device is get free, it has to notify to the processor indicating I am ready for receiving the data. Okay, so then processor it will stop whatever the task it is doing and it will switch over to this task. That means we should not make the processor always waiting for some particular device to get ready. Okay, if that is the case, what happens? We cannot utilize the processor efficiently. So now how it can be done? Okay, so now you can just take this diagram. So there is a single bus. connected with the processor, and the input device called keyboard. Okay, this is keyboard, and this is the output called display or monitor. So now what is the task I want to perform is I want to read a character from input device, okay, and that should be sent to the processor, and from processor it should be sent to the, okay, or it should be sent to the output device. So how exactly it is done? So what and all operation it takes place from the inside the IO device. So that I'm going. So here we have discussed in the previous class, for each of the device there is an associated buffer, okay, or the register. So data in, it is once again a register, like how we have used registers R0 to R1 in the processor. Okay, so see, we have input device called data in, and we have out device called data out, and also we have a flag. Yesterday I told, no, it will store the condition code flags. Okay, that is with respect to processor. Even the input device, it is having some registers. Okay, not registers, flags. So in the status register, we have considering one flag with respect to input device, and there is another flag with respect to output device called. So this is the signal for input device, signal for the output device. So when exactly it is going to use these flags, we'll just discuss. So now listen carefully. So now what I want to do is I am going to enter a key from the keyboard. Okay. So character from the keyboard. So that is going to be stored into the buffer called data in. Okay. So always whenever you enter some data, it is not directly sent to the processor. Okay. It is going to be stored into the buffer. Each of the device, it is having its own register or buffer. So example, even printer, I told many times, when you start giving print operation, first it is going to buffer your document. If you have seen buffering page 1, buffering page 2, that also you can see when you start giving the print. It will store the complete document in its temporary storage. Then it will start processing or printing of that particular document. Okay. So similarly for the input device, the buffer or the register is data in and data out. So now consider I want to enter the data A, I mean keyboard A, okay, and that will be stored into this particular register. Okay, whatever the character I'm going to enter, it is going to be stored first into the register. So normally, so this can be considered as a byte, or it may be the length of word. So once this particular register is full, okay, so we need some mechanism. Keyboard should have some mechanism to indicate that there is a valid data in the buffer. So for that it uses this flag, okay, input the signal for the input device. So as soon as there is a valid data in this killer, is going to set this flag to 1. By default it is 0. If the valid data is entered, so 0 is changed to 1. And processor is going to keep on checking this flag information. So instead of directly go and check this valid data, it will just keep on checking the flag information. So is this particular flag is set or not? If it is not set, consider if there is no valid data, it is 0. If it is 0, so it is not going to perform anything. It will go back and it will wait for some time. Okay, during that time it can perform other tasks. Okay, this is going to be done repeatedly. Frequently it is going to check the status of the input device. In case if it is set to 1, indicates that there is a valid data, and processor will read that data. Okay, it will read that data. And if the processor want to display that data output, what it is going to do is it will check the status of the S out, okay, signal of this output device. So what is, so signal, or you can just S stands for status of the output device. So is or not ready. If it is not ready to display on the screen, So this flag is set to 0. Maybe it is performing some other task or displaying some other information. If it is busy, so this is set to 0. In case if the display becomes free or it is ready to receive the data, so immediately this flag is set to 1. Okay, when the processor is keep on checking this flag information, if at some point of time if it is set to 1, okay, it will send the data to output device, and that data first it will be stored into a buffer or the register called data out. Then from here it will be displayed. Okay, so this is from this what you can learn is that it does not require the processor to keep on wait for input device or output device. Okay, so just it will check the status of the device, is it ready or not. Accordingly it can perform the required action. Okay, otherwise it can keep on executing some other task, so that whatever the speed of the processor it is provided for performing some other task during waiting of the input and output device. So now you need to write this. Okay, you need to write the same thing in the form of code. Okay, so for read operation, read wait. Okay, it is once again similar to loop. How we are using label name called read wait. It is statement. Branch to read wait if SN is equal to 0. Okay, so whatever I explained that I am just writing in two statements. So in case I told processor will be keep on checking the status of this. So it will first check if it is 0, it will wait. After some time, come back and check the status of this input device. Okay, so it is going to repeat this as long as this particular bit is set to 1. If it is set to 1, what is the action to be taken? Okay, so it has to whatever the data that is stored in input buffer should be transferred to processor register. Processor register. So the same thing I have written in the form of code here. Okay, this is once again not executable code. It is a pseudo code, or it's like an algorithm. So read wait, it is nothing but how we have given loop label. Similar to that, I'm just using the label called read wait. Branch to read wait. Branch, that means it is going to jump to this statement, or whatever the label I'm specifying here. Branch to read wait if SN is equal to or input status of the input device is 0. That means it will be keep on waiting as long as this particular flag is set to 1. Okay, so this particular statement, it is a looping statement. Check the condition. If branch condition, if it is true, go back to this statement and wait. Okay, in case if SN is equal to 0, if condition fail, when this condition fails, if the input device is entered some data and if there is a valid data in the data in, okay, in that case this is set to 1. So in that case it is going to get fail. This condition is going to get fail. That is branch to read wait if SN is equal to 0. If SN is not equal to 0, so it will stop execution of this statement and it will go to the next statement. So what is there in the next statement? Whatever the data that is present in the input device buffer, move that to processor register R1. Okay, so whatever the data it is present in the register data in, move to processor register R1 or not, yeah, anyone you can just take it. Now same thing it is going to happen for the output device also. So that is write operation. Write wait, branch to write wait. Branch, that means go back once again. The processor, I told it will be keep on waiting. Go back to if output device is not ready. Okay, if S is equal to 0 means output device is not ready. Then just wait. Probably go back and wait for it. Okay, this is going to be keep on executing as long as this condition fails. When this condition is going to fail, if the output device is ready to receive, so S out flag is set to 1. If it is 1, this condition fails. That means now output device is ready. So now whatever the data that we have stored in processor register R1, store that into output register called device. Okay, store that into, okay, if the device is ready, if it is set to 1, so now processor, whatever the content it is there in register R1, so send that to data out. This is the register or buffer associated with the display device, output device. Okay, is it clear? So only thing is you need to understand this part. Okay, so only thing is if the device is not ready, processor will be in waiting state. Okay, it will go back and it will wait for some time and come back and check the status of the device. So that thing we have written in these two lines of code. I know it may be difficult to understand this assembly language, but if you understand, it's very easy. If you're not understanding, it is difficult to remember. Okay, the same thing it is explained. So now we are going to write the actual code for that. Same thing, whatever we have written, no pseudocode here. So we'll try to modify this. So how you can write? We'll use these 3 lines. So these are all 3 lines are executable statement. So I'll just keep reference for this. I think everybody understood. Now quickly can you respond? Either type yes in chat box or you can just unmute and tell. So that we'll try to write the executable statement for these two. Yes? Everyone understood? So now what I'll do is I'll just convert this pseudocode into executable statement. So I'll use read wait. Okay. So now I'm going to use one new and called test bit #3 in status. Okay, in status register. So we have like similar to processor register input device, there is a status register called in status. So in this, the third bit 0, you can consider 1, 2. This is the third bit. So third bit contains the status of the input device. That is SIM flag information. Okay. So test #3 in status. Then branch equal to 0 to wait. Okay, very simple. I think this is read wait. Now, in case if this condition fails, move byte from data to R1. Okay. So now let's listen carefully. Whatever I explained this part of the code, no, same thing I have written here, actual executable statement. Considering there is a status register, okay, and in that the third field indicates the what is the status of the input device. Is it 0 or is it 1? Okay. So we have one new instruction called test bit. What is the function of this is? So this instruction tests the status of the 1 bit in the destination location. This is the destination location. In this, it is going to test this particular location #3. Okay. If bit is 0, then branch is true. Okay. In case if this particular bit is 0, so this condition becomes 0. This condition becomes true and it will go back to the loop statement. Okay, that input device is not ready. That means the processor has it. Okay, so this is going to be executed. Test bit #3 indicators. Okay, if it is equal to 0, go to read wait. That means input. At some point of time, in case this bit is set to 1 status, branch is equal to 0. So this is 1 and this is 0. It is not matching. It is not true. Okay, it is going to stop execution of this statement. It goes to move byte. Move byte from where? What is stored in input device register called, that is moved to R1. So this is move byte means it is the we have used only move, that is to work with one word. So if you want to move only one byte information, then we are going to byte data in comma R1. Okay, so this is for input device. Similarly, just write with respect to output device. Okay, that is write operation. Write, wait, expect the output. Test bit hash. So we have status register with the output device. Out status. Okay, out status. Then branch equal to 0. Go to write wait. Okay, that means this one. Right. And we're going to move from register R1 to data out. Okay, so this is also work in the same manner. So this is with respect to output out status. In that, the third field, it is going to indicate the status of the output device. Out status. Okay. So now, what happens? Test bit 3 out status, branch equal to 0, write wait. So branch equal to 0. It is going to check this flag. If it is 0, indicates that output device is not ready. Go back to the processor is go back to waiting state. Okay. And after some time, once again, it will check if it is false. Once again, I mean, if it is true, it will once again, it will be in waiting state. Okay. At some point of time, if I this particular flag to 1. Okay. In that case, branch equal to 0. Okay. 1 is not equal to 0. This condition fails. Then execution start for the next instruction. Move byte. That is whatever the data that is stored in register R1 sent to output, because I want to display that on the output screen. Okay. That data to data out. This is the register with respect to output device. The same thing I have written here. So you need to understand. I know the for the beginning this will be difficult, but once if you start understanding simple instructions only we are discussing. So that is about the how to synchronize. How to synchronize the speed difference between the I/O devices. So normally they will ask one program called, whatever I explained, the same thing now, it is written in the form of executable statement. Okay, what is this program performs is, it is going to read line of character. And this is read. Read means getting from the keyboard. And write the same character, right? Line of character on output screen. Okay. Whenever if there is a carry is written or enter, whenever if you after entered character is carry is written or enter from the keyboard, if it matches, then stop reading the character. Okay. If I am typing A, it is going to read and it is going to B, then it is going to display. Whenever if I enter carry is written, okay, then immediately it is going to stop reading the character. because the program read a line of character and display it. Each time it will read the first character from the input device and it is going to display on the output screen. Okay, display on the output screen. So here, whenever you are reading character, no, so consider your ABCD and next character you are going to enter is carry as return. Okay, that is enter. So with this, each character it is going to compare with this. If it is same character, then it will stop reading. Okay, let me just take time. I'm going to enter A and it will display, and also it will compare is it a carry as return. Okay, if not, it will read the second character displayed but carry as return, because I want to read only line of a line of character. As soon as I enter keyboard from the keyboard, it has to stop reading. Let's see, read and display. So I don't want to continue. I want to enter the carry as return. Okay, so that is displayed and it is going to match with this. So if it is matching with this character, stop reading the character and program is going to stop done using this. And we have already discussed now itself how read operation and write operation takes place. Now itself we have written this. Okay. Only thing is you need to add the statement. Whatever the character you read from the keyboard and displayed on the screen, is it carry as written? If it is matching, okay, then you have to stop reading. Okay, otherwise, if it is not equal, if these two operands are compared, if it is equal, okay, this condition fails. Okay, and it will stop execution of the program. In case if both are not matching, okay, it is not equal to 0, then it will read the next character. It goes to the loop, read, okay, display the next character and compare. Okay, this process is going to repeat. So you can just go through this program. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Even the comment lines are written here. It is there in the textbook. So I have explained this part. Only thing is this is added one extra condition. So how long it has to read? I need to give condition to stop the reading line of character. So that is whenever if there is a carry is written, stop reading. Okay, so let me just quickly move on to the important topic called a stack. Okay, you know already what is stack. I don't know is it started in the data structure or not, but let me just explain why we need stack here. What is the purpose of going through the stack? Just give me a minute. Okay, so normally we are going to use stacks for storing the data temporarily. So you will be learning the applications of stack in the data structure. Normally you will use for evaluating the expression. Okay, you're going to use the stack. But in computer system, where we are going to use the stack? So data operated by a program, whatever the program you need for working with the program during execution. Okay, all the operand values you're going to store or arranged into the stack. Okay, so data operated by a program can be organized in variety of ways. In that we are going to consider stack. Okay, so stack, what are the important points you need to remember stack? Okay, stack is a list of data element, usually words or bytes with accessing restrictions. That element can be added or removed at one end of the stack only. Okay, now I'm defining this is the size of the stack. So now you can add the element, push the element into the top of the stack. Okay, push the another element into the stack. Okay, if you want to remove the element from the stack, so you're going to pop out. You're going to just invoke function called pop. It will be first place of the stack. That means elements place only from one end of the list only. Okay, you can just see. So I have pushed it element to the top of the stack, or I'm removing the element from the top of the stack. So that is the specialty of the stack, is element removed from one end of the list. That we call it as top of the stack. This is the top of the stack. If you want to insert one more element, that becomes the top of the stack. Okay, the structure sometimes we call it as last in, first out. Okay, so that means whichever that is inserted or pushed last, that will be popped out first. Okay, when you are removing, that is removed first. So this is just a brief information about the stack. So why we need stack? Because next we are going to discuss one topic called subroutines. So what are these subroutines? So subroutines are nothing but functions in your program. Okay, so how we are going to use functions in your C program, how you have used. Okay, so why we need a stack for function? Okay, so don't think only from the point of implementing the program. You need to understand internally how it works, how compiler as it is going to execute the function. We're going to learn. So here normally there are two operations that takes place. One is push operation, placing new item onto the top of stack. Pop, removing the top item from the stack. Okay, so this is very, very important. So we use a stack that grows in direction of decreasing the memory address. I already told this is the stack. Okay, so I already defined like memory address. Consider this is 1000 or 100. Okay, so 100, then 96, then this is 90. Okay, so like this I'm just defining some of the addresses. It should be 98. 4 bytes means 98. So the stack is going to grow. If you want to push an element, so you need to decrease the address. -4. -4 means it is 86. So you're going to decrease the address as and when the stack is growing. And the stack, whenever you are removing the element, the stack memory address that you need to remember. So now consider my memory address is 86. Consider I want to insert or I want to push one more element onto the top of the stack. For that, what happens? It is going to decrement the stack by 4 bytes. Okay, so stack, it is growing in the decreasing order of their address. Okay, this is one special thing you need to remember. Because I have already given in a main memory. So this part of the memory I want stack. Okay. So in that case, inserting element from bottom. This is the bottom, okay, and this is the stack. So always when you keep on inserting element, the address of the stack, it is going to be decreased. Okay. So we stack that grows in the direction of decreasing the memory address. So here to handle like how you have used, can somebody quickly reply? Is it a stack is completed in data structure? I think in the bridge course sir has explained. In the bridge course sir has explained, no?
Yes.
Yes. I am not going in detail. Just remember how to handle this push and pop operation. Okay. So now for pushing an element and popping an element, we need a pointer. Okay. We need pointer here. So that pointer we call it as a stack pointer. Okay, so called SV. In short, we call it as stack pointer is used to keep track of the address of the element. See, what is the speciality of this topic is, in the data structure, you're not going to worry about addresses, how data is stored in the memory. Okay, you are just focusing on the operation. But in this subject, we are not just focusing on the operation, how elements are stored into the memory, how elements are removed from the memory with respect to the address. That is very, very important. Okay, so that is how we are going to learn the application of the stack. So this is one application of the stack to store the information about the subroutine. What do you mean by subroutine? It is nothing but functions of your program. So why we need subroutines or functions information to be stored in the stack, I will explain. Okay, so now there is a pointer called stack pointer that is always pointing to the top of the stack. Whenever element to be pushed on to the top, allocate the memory to the variable, that means increment this particular pointer, then push the element. In case if you want to pop the element, first you need to pop the element from the top of the stack and decrement the pointer. Okay, that you need to remember. Okay, so here there is a diagram that tells how push and pop operation takes place. So if this is the size of the stack 0 to, consider this is some particular address 2000. Okay, so I have defined this part of the memory is used for stack. So now this is the bottom, the first element of this stack, we call it as bottom element. Then I have so many other elements you can see. Okay, and the top of the stack, all it is pointed by the stack pointer. So SP stands for a stack pointer. It is nothing but a register of this location. See, always the pointer, registers, whatever it is we are going to refer, it is a small memory where it will be keeping track of the memory address. And now if you want to insert new element, okay, consider I want to insert 30 on top of this stack. In that case, what I have to do is I need to increment SP. That means I need to first allocate a memory. How I can do that? By decrementing the auto decrement. I need to go for auto decrement of stack pointer so that it will be pointing to this location. Then store this value into this memory location. Okay. So that part it is done here. Next. So similarly, this is for push operation. Auto pop. If you want to pop out, consider SP is pointing here. If you want to pop the element, what you have to do? So first you have to pop out this value, remove this top element. Then a stack pointer should be incremented. It should be that it is going to point to this element. Okay, the going in the decreasing order of their memory addresses. Okay, so for push off, I told you that #4. Okay, that is 4 minus SP. Whatever the SP it is pointing, going to do -4. Okay, so that it is going to get new memory location for the new word. So then after allocating the memory, move the new item to the that particular address. Okay, particular address, whatever the address it is referred by SP to address, you're going to move the new. Similarly, you can perform the pop. So you need to first move that element stored. This is indirect addressing. Whatever the value that is stored in this particular address, that is SP is holding some memory address. Okay, and if you represents parenthesis, it indicates element that present in this particular memory address. You are going to move to a temporary variable called item. Then you are adding whatever the address that is put by SP. For that you are add but you are going to release this memory and you are coming back to the previous element, and now SP is pointing here. So now the meaning of this is you are removing this top element and you are freeing this part of the memory so that you forget. So just go through these two codes. If you have, you can ask me immediately. So I'll take 15 more minutes and I'll stop. Actually, I wanted to explain about that subroutine. Okay, if possible, I'll just record these, whatever the videos I have recorded. 1 minute. Okay, so whatever videos I have recorded, I'll just store it into some particular memory, like in the link, I will share that link. Okay, or you can access directly from MS Team. If not, I'll try to load all the videos in one place and I will share the link. Okay, in case if you have any queries, you can just understand and you can come back and ask the questions. Okay, so now this is also just one example how push operation takes. I want to add this variable value 19 onto the top of the stack and how it is added here. Okay, so for that you have decremented the SP. That means SP was pointing here. If you do -4, it is pointing to this location. Okay, it is reverse when you start doing in data pointer stop plus plus and it will be loading the new item. Okay, but we are not using that concept here. Okay, how it is internal, and if it is swap operation, okay, swap operation means so SP here going to make point first, remove this element, move this element to item. You can just see that. Okay, 28 is moved to item and before it was here. So if you do increment +4, so now SP is pointing to this location and this element is removed from the top of the stack. Now whatever we have written here, it can be written in a single statement. It can be written in a single statement. So that code for this is new item of -SP. New item minus of SP. Okay, this is allocate the memory, then it is going to move in that location new item. Okay, in place of writing two instruction, you can just use auto decrement and write it in a single line. Similarly, this you can just use move item. First, you are moving the item, then you are going to increment the pointer. So that means this is nothing but move SP plus comma item. Okay, first it is going to move the item, then it is going to increment the pointer so that it will free the whatever the next element, previous element. So that is in case of pop operation. The same thing it is written here. Okay, so this is they have modified the code to check the condition. So is it the stack is full or stack is overflow or underflow? All that condition is added here. I want you people just go through this. Okay, safe operation. Whenever it's stack is full and insert four elements, so it should get an error called full error. Similarly, if there is no item in the stack and if you are trying to pop the element, it should raise an error called empty error. So normally you will write in the C program that is stack overflow, stack underflow conditions. That is must when you are writing programs related to stack. So will you people stay back for 15 more minutes or you got exhausted?